A Georgia mom who works as a substitute teacher at her kid's school is suing her school district after she says she was fired for expressing concern over a book made available to young students in her classroom. The book, titled All Children Are Welcome, features woke ideology and pictures of same-sex couples. That mother, Lindsey Barr, and her attorney, Tyson Langhofer, are here live. Thanks to the both of you for being here. Lindsey, you said that this book violated your religious beliefs. What happened when you raised the issue to the school?
It did. I went to the principal, expressed my concern, told her why I had the concern about the book, and within hours I was unable to access my teacher account and pick up substitute job.
So that's how they retaliated against you. You say they've also retaliated against your children. How so?
Well, I feel my concern is that they will retaliate. They haven't done anything yet, but in time, I think that it'll come. My children will be passed up on opportunities. This is a county where you have to apply for your children to do most anything, even field trips. And I think that this is a good way that they will quietly retaliate against our family for making noise.
Interesting. Tyson, what happened to religious freedom in the United States of America?
Well, it's a good question. I mean, thankfully, the First Amendment is still really strong. And Georgia actually passed the Parents' Bill of Rights, which actually protects parents' rights to review curriculum and to object to anything that shows concern. But, you know, public schools have no business retaliating against parents for simply expressing concern about their children. And the First Amendment prohibits that, and so does Georgia law.
Tyson, here's a key line from your letter to the school. It says as followed: the firing is intended to send a message to Mrs. Barr and others in the community that if they criticize the school's approach to sensitive political topics or express viewpoints contrary to the school's preferred viewpoints, they will face the consequences. Tyson, isn't this part of the left's crusade to literally silence voices that they don't agree with?
Well, I definitely think it is. I mean, this is a message to teachers like Lindsey, who are millions of them across the country. There are millions of people that agree with Lindsey's position on this topic, and yet the school is telling them you're not welcome in public schools. And that's wrong. That's contrary to the First Amendment, but it's also contrary to the goal of public schools, which is to inculcate, these shared values, of a pluralistic worldviews that we're trying to inculcate in our children.
Lindsey, the left always claims, look, we're the party of tolerance. Look how tolerant we are. Is the left being tolerant to you here, Lindsey?
I would say no. Teachers should never be fired for expressing genuine concern about what is happening in their children's schools, especially when your children are 6 years old. This is not tolerant, and it is not fair.
If you remember, last year, Virginia governor, at the time candidate Glenn Youngkin, won his election because he raised issues like this, and the people of Virginia sided with him. Here's what he says about education this year, driving parents to the polls once again. Listen.
They're worried about not having any choice. And so at the end of the day, I think education is going to once again show itself to be the primary issue in this cycle. Parents matter. And I think voters will once again state very clearly, like they did last year, they're voting for parents' rights in their kids' lives.
Lindsey, do you agree with that? Is that the sense among the parents that you associate with?
Absolutely. I feel like we all, the ones that I have spoken to personally, feel the same.
Tyson, final question to you from a legal perspective. How have the recent wins on topics like this bolstered your case here?
Well, I think they definitely send a message to parents and teachers that, hey, if you're being retaliated against, you have the right to stand up, and your voice matters, and the First Amendment is still strong. And so if that happens to you, you should take a stand.
I always say, if you do all the unseemly tasks required of raising a child, you know the ones I'm talking about, especially when they're an infant, you have the choice over how that child is raised. And for the state to come in and say that you don't is ridiculous. And it's important that folks like you, Lindsey and Tyson, are fighting back. Thank you very much for joining us.